While you are enjoying your delicious lunch, you are in for a treat. And I hope that you all have been doing your Kegels, because now is when they will come in handy. Our next guest is one half of the fabulous duo from MyTalk 107.1, the Lori and Julia Show. I have to say, about 5 years ago, I moved from Florida to Minneapolis, and I didn't know anyone or anything, and didn't know anything about what was going on in the city. And my sister-in-law said, "You want to start knowing what's going on in this town? You start listening to the two funniest women in this town," and that was Lori and Julia. And I have never regretted it since. Lori is delightful. She is hilarious. She is magnificent. She is wildly successful. Please put your hands together for Lori Barghini.
Oh my gosh, you are too nice. That's no pressure. Yes, thank you, everyone. We can thank Jan Ballman or complain later to her because she talked me into this. I never do this. I talk for a living on the air, so I always think, I'm giving the people what they want from 3 to 7 every day. Why should I go to a luncheon? So we always say no. So Jan, she doesn't even know blackmail stuff on me. I mean, she's a persuasive woman. She knows how to make things happen. And when she did explain to me that what Team Women in Minnesota did, I really couldn't say no to it, because as a gal who came from corporate America, 16 years, Carlson Companies, Sun Country Airlines, and then kind of just fell into a little business, which led to the radio. So, and she said, how did you do? The story of how you did that is kind of what people would like to know. So, how many people do listen to my talk? Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to be all right that I didn't wear deodorant today, because I realized I did not wear deodorant, and I don't know, it's just kind of, when I sit in my little, our double-wide trailer studio with the man wall surrounding us, all these gorgeous men, and we kind of forget, we just sometimes think we're in a bedroom, some of the conversations or a bar. But the number one question that we always get asked, because we have been on the air for 13 years, number one in drive time, I have to say, just a little plug for ourselves. And people always ask, well, how did you go from corporate America to the radio? Because neither Julia or I planned this. We always both felt in our minds that we were special and kind of little superstars, even in our angsty 20s. But we kind of fell in it by accident, and it started with a girls' weekend in Las Vegas, the town of fake breasts, showgirls, California girls. It was really just this fun weekend. I was working for Sun Country Airline, and we went out one night, and we were all like in our mid-30s to early 40s, and it was really like we were not getting the amount of attention that we were seeking on this girls' weekend. And my crazy girlfriend, Sherlyn, we were staying at the Treasure Island, came out of the bathroom with rounded shampoo bottle caps in her bra with a nice tight cami over it. And I'm like, holy hell, girl. I mean, we just, and on a double dare with some wine, I took the conditioner caps, and Sherlyn and I and the other 4 ladies strutted out of the Treasure Island with us in the lead, and we get out to take a taxi, and this guy jumps up, "Wherever you ladies are going, I'm giving you a ride." Now, I have to say that 2 of our ladies were appalled, as probably at least a fourth of the room is, why would you want to be nipply? But we were just, trying to do the cave girl signal, and we didn't really know it would work. We just were in Vegas, where you're kind of crazy. And so he gave us a free limo ride to the Mandalay Bay. We get to Rum Jungle, that had just opened. This is in 2000. And big, long line. You know how they do at a nightclub to make it hot? They make a big, long line. and then they seek out the pretty people to have them come in. Oh, it's a racket. And we were like, God, we don't want, all my girlfriends, no one wants to pay $25 because we're in our 30s and 40s. So Sherlyn and I just said, let us, walk this way. And the guy at the door said, you and all your ladies need to come in. So we go in. Over the whole course of the weekend, even the girl who was so proud of her naturally nipply breasts wore a pair of shampoo bottle caps because Sherlyn and I were getting chapped from wearing them and getting all this fun attention. And my girlfriend finally wore them, Lori, and we were walking out of the Bellagio, and this tall, handsome, I'm thinking South American, beautiful suit, shoes, dark hair, just drop dead handsome, early 40s, walks towards Lori, and she had a wrap dress on, so subtle, sexy, but she's very nippagey. And he just walks towards her, grabs her hand, kisses it, and in a delightful accent says, for the rest of my life, my paycheck for you. And she looked at me and she said, all right, maybe there is something with these stupid little things. And I got back, and Julia and I were both working at Sun Country, and I said, my God, I've made an amazing discovery, and you know how you're kind of on cloud nine, you come back from a vacation. And I, of course, had brought every day the maid was bringing us these shampoo and conditioner and because we were taking the caps off. And we get back, and Julia's like, I'm very intrigued. And we ended up going on a business boondoggle for Sun Country a couple months later. We couldn't get her out of those bottle caps. She was absolutely going crazy. And I think if it hadn't have been for Julia, I would have just simply been still wearing the bottle caps. But she's always wanted to invent something. She always wanted to have a patent in her name. And so we started looking, we started doing research. And if anyone is thinking of inventing something, the first two questions you have to ask yourself is, where will it be sold? And go and find it, see if it's out there online and in stores. And you have to pay a lawyer, intellectual property attorney, to do a search to see if that patent is pending before, because a lot of times people make an invention and then they try and figure out how to sell it, but that's what you do first. So we looked everywhere. We looked online. We went to lingerie stores. We went to Sex World. We went to sex shops. We went to custom mastectomy fitting places. We went everywhere. There was no perky nipple to be had in the land. So we then spent $350 and had an attorney do a search, and there was nothing out there. So Julia drew up a business plan. She was kind of, I said, when the time comes, I'll market it. And we basically, three of us pooled our money, $27,000, to make an injection mold. And again, we had no money, but I happened to be going out to Sturgis, South Dakota, for the motorcycle rally. And I said, hey, the motorcycle walk of life is every walk of life. You get everybody, hillbillies, judges, every color, every background. And I said, we'll have a booth, and we'll stand on the street, and we'll sell these things, and it won't cost us anything other than our $500 for our sidewalk space. And for 10 days, the very first day we were in Sturgis, we made the Rapid City Journal front page for our nipples. It shocked the bikers, okay? But we kept hearing over and over from women, I love them. I just seeing the possibilities for fun, just like you would a good padded bra or whatever. And then we also had women who, they were intrigued, but they would be secretive about it. They weren't going to tell anybody what their thing was. And then we had about the fourth of the group of women just said, we are done with that part of our life. And Julia and I did not even know that was possible. So we were just like, wow. And then men just really had two reactions. They flat out loved it, or I'd never let my woman wear it. So those were sort of the two things. So at the end of the 10 days, we paid ourselves back our $27,000 at $20 a pop, and we had them in two colors. We knew didn't matter because they're worn inside, but we did Perky and Pink and Baby Got Brown because we wanted everyone to feel comfortable with their little nipple enhancers that they might want to wear. And so what that did is that, I knew that we needed to get free press. And I had read this book called The Tipping Point that summer. It was very popular in the summer of 2000, Malcolm Gladwell. And the single biggest takeaway was play the who do you know game. Everyone is one person away from connecting with someone else to take you where you want to go. And so we were like, who do we know? Who do we know in the fashion world? Who do we know that's a movie star? Who do we know at Nordstrom, which was our first retail store? But we just played the who do you know game. And Julia's fourth college that she went to, her last roommate's little sister happened to be roommates with a gal named Alev Akhtar at the New York Daily News. And I had already written to Sarah Jessica Parker at HBO, but she had not written me back. And we sent him to her. We sent her, and we just said, our press release was just the story how we came up on a girls' weekend, and I had no idea she would use it, and I mailed her about 6 pairs of nipples, and I knew she was single, knew she lived in New York. That is a tough town to be single in. There's a lot of hot women there. And she went out and had like an amazing night. And like 2 days later, it was a double truck spread story with a photo of Carmen Electra, Pamela Anderson, 2 very famous nipply girls, and Jennifer Aniston, the nice, sweet girl with nipples all the years on Friends, and the story of their adventure. And the minute that hit, now this is really before the internet, I got called by the BBC, the Associated Press, Reuters, and it just took off in a viral manner, even though it was pre, the internet. And 2 days later, I was in New York at Bryant Park at Fashion Week, standing and doing interviews in a nice ladylike skirt, kind of like what I have on today. And then I had on like a pretty little like businessy lycra sort of top, and I had my nipples on. I'm not going to lie, because I'm doing my interviews. And, people are smiling at me, and I'm feeling pretty darn good because I'm all by myself, standing there with my bag of nipples, and I'm kind of looking around, I'm like just lingering now, I'm waiting, I'm in between interviews. And and the reporters, everything they say to me, everything they ask me, I've already heard on the streets in Sturgis. And one of the things was I just got kind of went crazy on nipple facts. So I could always, if a reporter or somebody was being kind of a dink, I would have a funny story to get the story going back in my direction that I wanted it. And but I'm standing, Michael Kors show is starting, and all of a sudden, there she is, Charlotte from Sex and the City. Kristen Davis, who I also loved on Melrose Place. And she's standing in front of me, and I thought, oh, God, I wrote to SJP a month ago, and she's not written me back. I'm going to ask, Kristen. I keep going, call her Kristen, don't say Charlotte, And I walked up to her, and I said, Miss Davis. My grandmother would have been so proud. And I said, Miss Davis, can I bother you for 30 seconds of your time? I just need to know, I have an idea for your TV show, Sex and the City. Who do I write to? And she said, well, us girls, we have nothing to do with any of these things, but you could write to Michael Patrick King at HBO in LA. And I said, well, can I share with you what the idea is in case it happens? And she said, sure. And I kind of stood up straight, and I said, these. And I had my nipple enhancers on, and she screamed and jumped behind her publicist and said, oh my God. And I said, I know. I said, I'd like to give you a pair, but we have a very strict privacy policy, so you'll never read about this in the National Enquirer. She said, can I have 2 pair? And I said, yes, you can. And I did. I then sent our press release about our story to Michael Patrick King at HBO. And I just, I sent like 8 pairs of nipples, both colors, and just hand wrote on the note, I just feel like this could be a storyline on Sex and the City. I don't know how this works. I live in Minnesota. We always tell people we live in Minnesota. People who know our red carpet coverage know we're always yelling. People are fond of people from Minnesota. So anyway, that was in September. And in November, I'm climbing Camelback Mountain with my husband. And in the meantime, doing lots of, we're getting in paper. We had a story in Playboy. We were in the front page of the Star Tribune. We're getting a lot of press. But I don't know if Michael Patrick King is aware of any of this. Get a call climbing Camelback Mountain with my husband. And it's Michael Patrick King's assistant. And he says, we'd like to use your nipples in a storyline. And I'm like, really? And again, it was just, we just had this belief, and I had the belief even before we made the world talk about our nipples. I saw this on Sex and the City in my mind. In my mind, Carrie Bradshaw gets them because she writes for her column, Sex and the City. That's how I saw it. But in the storyline, it is season 4, episode 6, Baby Talk is Cheap, one of the naughtiest Sex and the City episodes ever, about a runner and a booty and some nipples. So check it out if you can't remember that one. But yeah, they used it, and it was only we found out later after we were on the air that it was the only outside idea to come out of the writer's room that made it on the TV show. And we thank you. And we went to New York, and we watched them film the episode. It was so long and boring. Now I know why people have affairs. And they set it up and lighting, but Sarah Jessica Parker came out, and she said, there's, a couple ladies here who are the nipple chicks, and she gave us a toast. She was so darling, and Kristen Davis remembered me, and she had her golden retriever, and, it was just fun. But we left before they actually really filmed it, because it was like 10 o'clock on a Thursday night in New York City, and damn it, we had places to be. They work a long schedule. And then Oxygen Media did a story on us for a pilot called Modern Love. And at the end of it, the director, producer, I don't know what he did, he just said, "You girls are hysterical. Why don't you have your own show?" And we're like, why don't we have our own show? Now he's planted the idea. And he said, you should pitch Oxygen. And this was back when Oprah owned it. Pitch us a TV show. And Julia and I came up with The Powder Room. And the idea was that women of every walk of life and we get real in the ladies' room wherever you're at, and maybe not so much an airport because that's more personal, but a nice, you chat and you will share intimate things. So that was our pitch, and we worked with this guy who we played the Who Do You Know game, who did pitches for different movies and TVs, Ken Hodder at Metropolitan Hodder. He offered to help us for free. Everybody is helping us for free. Our packaging, for this, as Warren on Sex and the City, we got an artist to contribute this to us. We worked the Who Do You Know, We Have No Money thing like you wouldn't believe. And so we pitched it to Oxygen from Julia's minivan outside of Braemar. Her boys were taking an ice skating lesson. I'm now at the Star Tribune selling travel advertising and doing radio nipple interviews for my car in the morning and late afternoon, but my boss doesn't care as long as I make my number. So we pitched this TV show. We're so excited. We just know we're going to get it. And the lady says, after like 30 seconds of the pitch, she says, yeah, what else do you have? And we're like, that's it? She goes, well, call me if you have a better idea. Hangs up the phone. And Julia and I looked at each other. You got to always keep your sense of humor. Absolutely burst out laughing. We're like, that is classic, We've been working for 2 months on this pitch, and in 30 seconds. And then we thought, well, damn it, who needs TV? You got to do the makeup, the hair, it adds 10 pounds. What about radio? And Julia goes, well, Ginny Morris owns Hubbard. I know her because I sold radio ads there like 5 years ago. And I go, how do you know she's going to remember you? And she goes, well, I kind of faked a nervous breakdown so I didn't have to tell him I was going away to Europe with the guy. And it was kind of a famous, people couldn't believe she picked that story over the truth, you know. And she goes, so I know she's going to remember me. She calls Ginny, and unbeknownst to us, Hubbard Radio is toying with the idea of having a radio format that's female-driven, female voices, how women think, how women talk, how we subject change, not yelling, not politics, not sports, but really how women talk about stuff. So we didn't know that. Ginny did remember Julia because of the fake nervous breakdown when she quit. And she said, yeah, you can buy me a cup of coffee at the Egg and I. And all we did was we made lifestyle resumes for each of us, because if you were going to play the Sex and the City game, I'm Samantha, Julia is Charlotte. We both sometimes want to be Carrie, and Julia is sometimes Miranda, and so am I. But our main things are that. So we made lifestyle resumes that just, like Julia, a mom, I'm a bonus mom. I've had 3 husbands. She's been married for a long time. I love to ride motorcycles. So we sort of just did this thing about who we were as women. Because if you kind of combine the two of us, we make up a lot of what we feel many friendships are, where you're kind of opposite. And Ginny really only asked us 2 questions. And we found out at that meeting they were starting a radio station in 7 weeks. And they were looking for cheap talent. And we were going to be cheap. We knew that. And she said, why should I hire you ladies, you 2 women? She was kind of impressed with the lifestyle resume. And I just said, we made the whole damn world talk about nipples. And that was only one subject. One subject. Imagine what we can do with 3 hours on the radio. She thought that was a pretty good answer. And then she said, well, what if you run out of things to talk about? Now, Julia and I have had a crush on each other since the day we met at Carlson Companies in 1998. We both remember what the other one wore. She was in charge of marketing. I was in charge of getting co-op dollars. So we were co-workers at a good level. And then 7 years after I met her, and when I met her, I was leaving husband number 1. She was with me for the brief number 2, but I ended up marrying her brother. So we've now been friends for 11 years when we were having this meeting. And she says, well, what if you run out of things to talk about? And I'm like, we are never running out of things to talk about. There are no 2 women who are dear friends, sister-in-laws now. You never are going to run out of anything to say. And she didn't say it that day, but that day I went in and resigned at the Star Tribune. Didn't tell my husband. Took a big, huge cut in pay. And but I knew that they were going to offer us a contract, and we started, several weeks later on the air, and it's now been 13 years on June 10th. And it seems like so unlikely because all of this did happen, before the internet, and but we kind of just took every step that we took in sort of a logical way, and that playing the who do you know game, believing in our idea and ourselves, we used all of the skills we had in corporate America to talk people into stuff, to barter. There are people out there that have more nipples than they'll ever be able to sell. But, people kind of were enchanted. We were very persuasive. And, we never took any rejection personally. I don't know if any of you have read that book, The 4 Agreements. If you know that one, it's never take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Be impeccable with your words. So like how we chose to word our press release, telling the story of how we came up with this invention was a much better plan than, some other story, just telling the truth. And we just did our best in every single thing that we tried, and not everything worked. I mean, we were going to have a lot more product lines, but then we got the radio and we got sidetracked, and it's, we're like, this is where we're supposed to be. But we just never really let the naysayers, a lot of people told us, no, this is crazy, you can't get a TV show, you can't make a nipple invention. You can't, and we did. It took us 3.5 years, but we got a patent, and we got ripped off by everybody, the fashion business, the sex toy business, and Spencer's also ripped us off. So patent pending means nothing, people. If you're working on a patent, it's not until you get it. So, it was okay, even the failures that we had along the way. And we had so many women help us, and we had a lot of men. But I really, like 3 or 4 years after we got on the air, we had Malcolm Gladwell on our show. And we shared with him that story about that takeaway of playing the who do you know game. And how much we took that to heart and how much that helped us get to where we are. Because people do like to help people. I mean, lots of people like to tell you, no, that's not going to work. There is that. You just move on to the next person that you think, and you really have to just ask yourself all the questions so that you can play that who do you know game, the very best that you can. So I do have, I feel like I should do a demonstration of just how fantastic the nipple enhancers are. I don't recommend wearing it with stripes, but it's an instant boob lift if you've got a bit of a saggier bosom. You can have the outline. It's just very, very nice. You have to use with care and discretion, though, because men, it is caveman. They will ogle breasts, they will ogle ass, they will check out your legs. But if you're a nipping out, and I know this is why we don't want to do it at the grocery store or around our dads or at work, unless you work someplace where that's welcome, they can't help it. They have to make eye contact with you. And then if you know what you're doing and you feel like flirting, don't forget how to wink. Thank you so much. Oh, we are selling. I apologize. I said we have 2 colors, Perky and Pink and Baby Got Brown. Julia has all the Perky and Pink. I have all the Baby Got Brown. We are, I don't know, I probably have like 100, but we are, these guys are selling them donations of $10 for Team Women Minnesota. You don't have to tell. They come in a lovely velvet bag, so it's very discreet. TSA will never know what's going on. They're so easy to get out. I mean, you can just like fling them on the floor. And then we've even had women who have been very proud of their nipples, lost their breasts due to breast cancer. You cannot really get a nipple made. It's not covered under insurance. So some women who were really missing their nipply boobs now can put these over their breasts that they have that maybe they don't have anything. So we didn't even think about that when we were doing our little thing. So anyway, thank you very much.
We're doing just a break. A break? Yeah. So I've done hundreds of presentations, and I have to say, bag of nipples has never come up before today. So this is an exciting day. And we're going to do a giveaway, right?
Yes,
a basket?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Oh, and here, what is it?
Sweet.
And then can you get...
Yeah, gift.
Oh. No.
You too. That is a professional woman who says, are you sure that's the right angle to take that picture? One more time for Lori Barghini. Thank you so much. Fabulous job. All right, well, enjoy the rest of your lunch. And by the way, okay.
we have a gift basket as a door prize from Mir Gear Law Firm. Can you wave back there? I saw Barbara Brown back there. Where? Maybe she's not still back there. Anyone from Mir Gear? Can you? There you are. You're over there. Thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and do a drawing. Oh, I know this person. Christy, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. Hawkinson? Thank you. So now we have a break until a little before 1. So take this time to network, to do the silent auction. There's some wine left. There's a little wine left. The authors are here with their books, and they can do some autographing of the books as well. And keep in mind, we have these items here for sale, too. Thank you.